I, 35M, have been struggling with whether to post this, but I really need outside perspective. This is about my sister Claire, 38F, and how she betrayed me in the worst possible way. For background, Claire and I grew up very close. Our parents had a messy divorce when I was 12 and she was 15, and we basically helped each other survive that period. Our dad cheated on our mom with his secretary, classic, I know, and moved across the country with her. Mom fell into depression and started drinking heavily, so Claire and I had to take care of each other. I got my first job at 16 just to help pay bills, and Claire postponed college for a year to work full-time and help Mom get into rehab. Mom eventually got better, but those years really bonded Claire and me. We promised we'd always have each other's backs. She was there for me through college, my first heartbreak, everything. When I struggled with anxiety after Dad left, she was the one who convinced me to try therapy. I used to tell her everything about my sessions because I trusted her completely. 8 years ago, Claire started working at this big marketing firm in the city. She was excited about finally landing her dream job after years of doing whatever work she could find to help support our family. About 6 months into her new job, she called me saying she'd met the perfect woman for me. That's how I met Lisa, 33F. Lisa was ambitious, smart, and beautiful. She worked in the same department as Claire and they'd become good friends. Claire insisted we'd be perfect together because Lisa was family-oriented just like me. The first time we met for coffee, Lisa and I talked for hours. She came from a big family and said she wanted the same thing, a stable home, kids, the whole package. We dated for a year before getting married. Claire was my best woman at the wedding, and she cried more than anyone during the ceremony. The first 5 years were amazing. We had Tom, 6M, 2 years into our marriage, and then Emma, 4F, 2 years after that. Lisa was a great mom initially, always planning fun activities for the weekends and making time for family dinners. Everything changed when Lisa got promoted to VP of Marketing 2 years ago. The job required a lot of travel. She'd be gone Monday through Thursday most weeks. I supported her because it was a huge opportunity, and I could handle things at home since I work as a software developer remotely. The kids were sad about seeing less of their mom, but we made it work. We'd do video calls every night, and Lisa would try to make the weekend special. But about a year ago, Lisa started acting differently. She'd be too tired for family time on weekends, always on her phone, and would snap at me over small things. The kids noticed too. Tom would ask why mommy doesn't play with him anymore. I tried talking to her about it, but she'd say I was being too demanding and she needed to focus on her career. Then came the day I discovered her affair. I borrowed her laptop to check our joint account since mine was updating, and her email was open. There were hundreds of messages between her and her boss James, intimate details, hotel reservations, plans for their future together. When I confronted her, she wasn't even sorry. She just said I've outgrown this life and that she wanted a divorce. I was blindsided but tried to keep things civil for the kids. We agreed to 50-50 custody initially. The divorce proceedings started, and I thought we'd work everything out like adults. Then Lisa suddenly filed for full custody, claiming I was emotionally unstable and too focused on work to properly care for the kids. It made no sense. I'd been the primary caregiver for 2 years while she was traveling. The custody hearing was a nightmare. Lisa's lawyer presented evidence that made me look horrible. There were photos of Tom crying after falling off his bike, presented as me making him cry. Screenshots of work emails where I mentioned being tired, like any parent, twisted to make it seem like I couldn't handle the kids. Even old text messages to Claire about my therapy sessions from years ago, manipulated to make me look mentally unstable. The judge ruled in Lisa's favor. I now only get my kids every other weekend. Do you know how hard it is to go from tucking your kids in every night to seeing them 4 days a month? Tom keeps asking when he can come home, and Emma cried last time I had to drop them back at Lisa's. I've been fighting depression but trying to stay strong for them. Yesterday, my brother Rob, 40M, came to my house looking really upset. He said he'd overheard Claire on the phone with Lisa, and he couldn't keep quiet anymore. Claire had been helping Lisa build a case against me for months. She was the one who took those photos out of context, provided those old therapy conversations, and even helped create fake email threads showing me admitting I couldn't handle the kids. I confronted Claire immediately. She tried to deny it at first, but then broke down crying and admitted everything. Apparently, Lisa had promised her the position of senior marketing director, a job Claire had been wanting for years. Claire claimed she didn't think it would hurt the kids much since I'd still get to see them sometimes, and this was her one chance at her dream career. I lost it completely. I told her she was dead to me, that she'd betrayed not just me but also her niece and nephew who adored her. She kept crying and offering to help fix things, but I kicked her out and told her never to contact me or my kids again. Now my parents and several relatives are blowing up my phone saying I'm being too harsh. Mom says Claire made a mistake but she's still family and I should forgive her. Even Rob, who told me the truth, thinks I should give her another chance once I calm down. But I don't think I'm wrong here. Claire knew exactly what she was doing. She watched me build a life, helped Lisa destroy it, and then expected forgiveness because we're siblings? The sister I grew up with, who helped me through our parents' divorce and supported me through therapy, chose money over her own family. I can't wrap my head around it. Edit, thank you for all the responses. To clarify, yes, I have a lawyer and we're gathering evidence of the fake documentation. Claire isn't married and doesn't have kids of her own. She still lives in the same city as Lisa and started her new job last week. My kids ask about their aunt sometimes, but I haven't told them what she did yet. I'm waiting to speak with a child psychologist about the best way to handle that conversation. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your support and advice helped me realize I wasn't overreacting to Claire's betrayal. Several people suggested getting a new lawyer who specializes in custody cases, which I did immediately. The new lawyer, Jennifer, was furious when she reviewed my case. She said the evidence Lisa presented wouldn't have held up if it had been properly challenged by my previous lawyer. We started building a case to prove the documentation was fabricated, and initially, things looked promising. Claire agreed to meet with Jennifer and seemed willing to sign an affidavit admitting what she'd done. She even cried during the meeting and said she wanted to make things right. But then Claire disappeared. She stopped answering calls, blocked me on social media, and even moved out of her apartment. I couldn't understand why until Rob called me yesterday with some devastating information. Lisa didn't just give Claire the promised job, she made her senior marketing director with a salary of $180,000, plus bonuses and stock options. My sister sold my relationship with my kids for a fancy title and a corner office. But that's not even the worst part. Rob started digging into Claire and Lisa's relationship after Claire ghosted us. He works in IT and offered to check Claire's old laptop that she'd left at our parents' house years ago. What we found made me physically sick. Claire and Lisa had been friends for 3 years before introducing me to Lisa. They met at a marketing conference and stayed in touch. There were old messages showing they planned everything from the start. Lisa had been looking for someone with a stable job and good income who could help her advance her career. She needed to be married with kids to project the right image for upper management at her conservative company. Claire suggested me because she knew I wanted a family and had a good job. There were messages where they literally discussed how I'd be perfect because I was naive and trusted too easily. The most painful discovery was that Claire knew about Lisa's affair 6 months before I found out. She and Lisa had regular lunch meetings where they planned the custody battle. They knew Lisa's company would never promote a divorced woman to executive level, especially if she had an affair, so they needed to make me look like the bad guy. Claire had been gathering ammunition against me for months. Remember how I mentioned sharing my therapy experiences with Claire? She kept notes of everything I told her about those sessions. She and Lisa carefully selected parts that, taken out of context, could make me appear unstable. Like when I talked about having anxiety during our parents' divorce, they twisted that into a pattern of mental health issues. The family iPad we used to share had more evidence. Claire sometimes used it when visiting, and she forgot to log out of her email. There were dozens of messages between her and Lisa strategizing how to take photos that could be misinterpreted. They literally planned to catch the kids crying or upset after normal things like getting vaccines or falling while playing, then save those photos for the custody case. I showed everything to our parents. Mom had been defending Claire, saying she must have had her reasons, but seeing those messages broke her. She had to be hospitalized briefly after having what the doctor called an anxiety attack. Dad flew in from California for the first time in years, saying he needed to deal with this family crisis. The hardest part is dealing with my kids. Tom asked me last weekend why I don't pick him up from school anymore like I used to. Lisa's been telling them I'm too busy with work to have them during the week. Emma drew a picture at school of our family, but she put a big X over where I should be because Mommy says Daddy doesn't live with us anymore because he works too much. Jennifer says we have a strong case for custody modification based on the new evidence. She's particularly interested in the email showing Lisa and Claire plan to manipulate the custody hearing. But the court system is slow, and it could take months before we get a hearing date. What kills me is that Claire keeps showing up at our parents' house acting like she's the victim. She told Mom she had no choice because Lisa had threatened to fire her if she didn't help with the custody case. But the messages we found prove that's a lie. She was a willing participant from the beginning. Rob suggested trying to use Claire's job offer as leverage, saying we could report Lisa to her company's board for offering a job in exchange for false testimony. But Jennifer advised against it for now, saying we need to focus on the custody case first. She's worried that if we rock the boat too much, Lisa might try to move away with the kids before we can get back to court. I've started documenting everything now. Every interaction with Lisa, every time she denies my scheduled calls with the kids, every comment the kids make about things she's told them about me. Jennifer says building this record could help our case. The only small victory is that some of Lisa's family have started reaching out to me. Her sister called to say she doesn't believe the accusations against me and offered to testify about Lisa's character if needed. Apparently, Lisa has a history of manipulating situations to get what she wants. I just never saw it because Claire helped hide her true nature from me. I still can't believe my own sister orchestrated all of this. The person who held me while I cried over our dad leaving, who supported me through college and my early career, who was Aunt of the Year to my kids, she spent years helping someone plot to destroy my life. All for a job title and a bigger paycheck. Some people have suggested therapy, but right now, I'm focusing all my resources on the custody battle. I need my kids back first. Then maybe I can deal with the emotional fallout of losing both my wife and sister to greed and betrayal. I'll update again when there are new developments in the custody case. Thank you all for your support and advice. It helps to know I'm not alone in this fight. Update 2: the custody case finally broke open, but not the way anyone expected. Claire showed up at my lawyer's office last week with a USB drive containing everything, and I mean everything. But before I get into that bombshell, I need to explain what led to this moment. For the past 3 months, I've been living for my weekend visits with the kids. Tom's been struggling in school, and his teacher sent a note saying he's become withdrawn. Emma started having nightmares and asking if I left because I don't love them anymore. It's been killing me that I can't tell them the truth about what really happened. About 2 weeks ago, our mom had a serious talk with Claire. Mom told her about Tom's problems at school and Emma's nightmares. She also revealed something I hadn't known: Claire had suffered from similar issues when our dad left. Apparently, this hit Claire hard. She spent 3 days locked in her apartment, not even going to work, just thinking about everything. When Claire finally came to Jennifer's office, she didn't just bring evidence about the custody case. She revealed the real reason behind her betrayal, and it wasn't just about the job. 10 years ago, I had warned her boyfriend Mike about her gambling problem. Claire had begged me to keep it secret, but I found out she'd taken loans in Mike's name to cover her gambling debts. I couldn't let him get trapped in that, so I told him everything. He left her, and she had to declare bankruptcy shortly after. Claire admitted she'd been plotting revenge ever since. When Lisa approached her 3 years ago about finding someone to marry temporarily, Claire immediately thought of me. She'd been carrying that resentment for 7 years at that point, and here was a perfect chance to make me understand how it felt to lose everything. The evidence she provided was extensive. She documented everything, probably as insurance against Lisa. There were recorded conversations where Lisa admitted she never planned to stay married, emails planning how to manipulate the custody hearing, and even spreadsheets tracking every photo and piece of evidence they manufactured. But here's what really blew the case wide open: Claire had emails proving Lisa and her boss had been having an affair for over a year before her promotion. They'd planned it all. Lisa would get married, have kids to look family-oriented, then get promoted and eventually leave me. The company had a strict policy against workplace relationships, especially between executives, which is why they needed to make me look bad in the divorce. Jennifer took everything to Lisa's company's legal department. Within 48 hours, both Lisa and her boss were fired. The company has a zero-tolerance policy for using corporate resources to fabricate legal evidence, plus the hidden affair violated multiple company policies. Lisa lost her job, her boyfriend, and her reputation in one day. The evidence about the affair also revealed something that made me sick. Lisa had used company funds to pay for their hotel meetings, disguising them as business trips. That's federal fraud. The company is pressing charges, and Lisa's facing potential legal consequences beyond just losing her job. Claire's life imploded too. She lost her fancy new job once the company discovered she'd helped fabricate evidence. She's also facing potential legal consequences for her part in providing false evidence to the court. But honestly, I don't even care about her punishment anymore. I just want my kids back. Jennifer filed an emergency motion for custody modification based on the new evidence. We have a court date next week. She says with the proof that Lisa and Claire deliberately fabricated evidence, plus Lisa's current legal troubles, we have a very strong case for primary custody. The worst part of all this is that Claire's revenge plan worked better than she ever imagined. She didn't just hurt me, she hurt 2 innocent kids who adore their aunt. Tom asked about her yesterday during our video call, wondering why Aunt Claire doesn't come to his soccer games anymore. I still don't know how to explain any of this to them. Our extended family is in shambles. Mom can barely look at Claire now that she knows the truth about the gambling and the revenge plot. Dad, who usually stays out of our lives, actually called to say he's ashamed of Claire. Even Rob, who initially thought I should forgive her, hasn't spoken to her since learning about her decade-long revenge scheme. I'll update again after the custody hearing. Right now, I'm just trying to stay focused on what matters, getting my kids back and helping them heal from all this chaos. One thing's certain: some betrayals cut too deep for forgiveness, no matter how much history you share with someone. Update 3: the dust has finally settled, and I can say with certainty that this chapter of our lives is over. The custody hearing went exactly as Jennifer predicted. The judge was furious about the fabricated evidence from the first hearing. After reviewing everything Claire provided, plus additional evidence from Lisa's company about the fraudulent business trips, the court granted me primary custody. Lisa now gets supervised visits every other weekend. The transition hasn't been easy. Tom and Emma were confused and upset about the sudden changes. We hired Dr. Marcus, a child psychologist who specializes in divorce cases, to help them process everything. He suggested telling them the truth in age-appropriate ways. We explained that Mommy and Aunt Claire did some dishonest things that made it hard for Daddy to see them, but now the truth had come out. Tom took it especially hard. He's angry at Lisa and refuses to go to the supervised visits sometimes. Emma is still too young to fully understand, But she's been having separation anxiety when I drop her at school. Dr. Marcus says this is normal and we need to be patient while they adjust. Lisa's life has completely fallen apart. The fraud charges from her company led to a 6-month suspended sentence and hefty fines. She lost her professional licenses and can't work in marketing anymore. Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents in Ohio. Her boyfriend/former boss threw her under the bus during the company investigation to save himself, though he still got fired. Claire's facing her own consequences. She lost her job and her professional reputation. The legal community in our city knows she helped fabricate evidence for a custody case, so no marketing firm will touch her. She's working as a waitress now, quite a fall from her corner office and 6-figure salary. Last week, Claire showed up at my house unannounced. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. She broke down on my porch, crying about how she's lost everything: her career, her family, her self-respect. She said she's starting gambling addiction treatment and wanted to make amends. I listened to her cry for 5 minutes, then told her one thing: you chose revenge over your niece and nephew's happiness. That's not something treatment can fix. Then I closed the door. Maybe that was harsh, but I thought about Tom's struggles in school and Emma's nightmares, and I couldn't find any forgiveness in my heart. Some relatives are still pushing for reconciliation, especially since Claire's trying to get help now. Mom's sister keeps saying that families should stick together and Claire's suffered enough. But they weren't there when I had to explain to my kids why their aunt helped take them away from me. Some things you just can't come back from. My focus now is on rebuilding our lives. I've converted the home office into a playroom so the kids have their own space again. Tom's grades are improving, and Emma's starting to sleep through the night. We have a new routine: movie nights on Fridays, pancake breakfasts on Sundays, and daily feelings check-ins where they can talk about anything bothering them. Rob visits often and has become their favorite uncle. My parents are also more involved now, trying to make up for the void Claire left. We're slowly building a new normal, one that doesn't include the 2 women who tried to destroy our family. I've learned that sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who know exactly where to stick the knife. But I've also learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. My kids are what matter now, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure they feel secure and loved, even if that means some family members stay permanently cut out of our lives.